Hello to all CENIMASTER lovers. Hope you enjoy watching. Let's get started. The movie begins in the middle of an Australian river after the crazy zombie epidemic began to spread. Andy is walking in his boat, which is his home, with his wife, Key, who is taking care of their little girl, Rose, and the man who is driving the boat on their trip. Suddenly, Andy finds a balloon floating around the place. When he looks at the edge of the lake, he sees two little children running after the balloon. He is very worried about them, but before he can talk to the children, they run and go to their parents. When the man, whose name is Andy, looks at them, their father pulls out a gun and threatens him and makes him leave before the people of the camp beat him up. After that, the survivor, Andy, finds many first aid kits thrown in the water. So he collects his net in order to be able to collect as many resources as possible. After a while, Andy and his wife try to find new places to search in because they only have 4 pieces of food left. But Key says that they can explore one of the cities in this area, and she kills them. They go to the shore to look for more supplies. The problem is that Andy is still very afraid to get close to solid land, and says that they have to stay in the lake for as long as possible. When she hears this, she gets upset and tells him that if they don't find food in this area, Rose might die in a few days. The next day, Andy is searching and looking for more supplies. He finds a sunken yacht in Beirut. After making sure that no one is on the yacht, he decides to explore it. The man finds a large cat full of food and starts collecting as many resources as possible. At that moment, something moves inside the yacht's bathroom, so Andy decides to leave before it catches them. On the boat, which is his home, the husband and wife are happy with the supplies they found, and Kia asks her husband to stay with his daughter for a while so that he doesn't talk to her, which has become too much for him. While Andy sleeps in the room next to Rose, the woman decides to explore the yacht alone. In order to find cleaning things for her husband after she finds what she is looking for, Kay feels that something is moving inside the yacht, but before she can escape, the creature grabs her. After a while, Andy finally wakes up, and when he sees footprints everywhere, he gets worried and searches for his wife frantically. When he finds the lady, Andy notices that she is badly hurt. After he takes his daughter out of the room, he tries to stop Kay's bleeding, which turns on a 48-hour timer. At that moment, the lady understands what is happening and starts to get very scared, but Andy calms her down and tells her that as long as they take good care of the wound, everything will be fine. After he controls the wounds, the man says that they must find medical help as soon as possible, but Kay refuses and says that they might put Rose in danger if they decide to leave their home, which is the boat. Andy shouts and explains that if his wife is really hurt, it is possible these symptoms are relieved with the help of medical products. But for this reason, they must act quickly. Andy and his wife go to the hard land in their boat and start looking for a new place to take shelter in. They walk in the deserted lands that have many traces of blood made by zombies. After a few minutes of exploration, the husband and wife find a car that has been preserved in a somewhat intact condition, so they decide to use it as a means of transportation for them. At the time, her husband is loading the new car with the gas he has. Rose is sitting on the back seat, but at that moment, the woman notices that a zombie is approaching them, so she uses the car's flashlights to alert Andy. The man runs quickly into the car and they are able to escape without this creature catching them. During the trip, when she notices that Rose is not feeling well, she asks Andy to stop so they can change the baby's diaper. Andy takes advantage of this standing position to analyze the map of the area in order to find the nearest place to stay. The problem is that the woman's infection is increasing every little while. Her sister starts having convulsions and falls to the ground. Andy helps her. When she wakes up, she feels herself panicking. When she notices that her wounds are acting like a sticky yellow substance, she gets very scared and runs. The man stops the car after parking. The woman tries to escape, but Andy stops her and tells her that it is still important that there is enough time for them to reach the hospital and control the infection. However, the woman refuses to continue with him and says that she does not want to expose her family to danger. However, the man confirms that he will not allow Kylie to despair. After he returns her to the car, they continue on their way. Andy is worried about his wife's health. His attention is distracted, and when he looks ahead, he finds a man standing in the middle of the road. Because of this, he starts the car, but the car loses control and crashes into a tree in the place. One of these trees, Tommy D, a native girl who lives around the area, sees the situation and screams to prevent the zombie from walking towards the husband and wife. Andy, after making sure that Rose is fine, begins to remove the broken pieces from Kay, but at that moment he notices that a large tree branch hit the woman's body and she was trapped in her chair. When he sees this terrifying scene, the man feels tired and loses consciousness. After a few minutes, Andy wakes up, and when he looks at Kay, he notices that his wife is dead. Before losing control, she covered her face with a strange, sticky substance so that she wouldn't die like her family. When he understands that the woman left a final message asking him to take care of Rose, Andy is devastated and safely gets his daughter out of the car. After that, Andy immediately decides to finish off Kay so that the woman can rest in peace. But after he does so, he notices that she used this substance to prevent the transformation. Everything ended at the same time. Andy, who wasn't in his right mind earlier, realizes that he was bitten by his wife. After resetting the transformation timer, he decides to begin his journey to find a safe place for Rose. He tries to calm his daughter with his scent. Andy finds the man he saw earlier and his brother, who is responsible for everything that happened to his family, unaware that this is actually a zombie. When he notices the terrifying form of the surviving monster, he grabs a tree branch from the ground to defend himself. At that moment, Tommy appears in the middle of the trees and orders the man not to attack so she can attract the creature's attention. The girl uses a wound on her hand and the scent of her blood to lure the zombie. Andy is confused and doesn't understand what the girl is doing, but when he notices that Tom has run away, he decides to continue his journey. After a few hours of walking, Andy finds a deserted area partially destroyed by a zombie attack. While searching for medical equipment to treat his wounds, Andy walks into a small school. After cleaning up, he sees a few rooms. When the woman notices the watch on his hand, she realizes the man is injured and starts putting gauze on his arm to stop the bleeding. At night, Andy watches the woman next to his daughter, but at that moment, he discovers that Ada had been wearing a wig the entire time. Afterward, the man immediately decides to go outside to smell her and sees many natives performing rituals in the middle of the trees. Meanwhile, Tom observes the movements of people calling her name and reading their request for her to return home, but she decides to ignore them and goes back to the laboratory in the abandoned school. Andy begins to feel strange, and before he can call for help, he has convulsions due to his infection and loses consciousness. In the morning, Andy wakes up on the ground. Unfortunately, he has about 32 hours left until he fully transforms, so he sets out. Barry Whitt advises him to go to Tommy's tribe because it will be a safe place for Rose to live in peace. Andy prepares to continue his journey and walks through the vast Australian desert while carrying his daughter on his back. After a few hours, the survivor reaches a small, destroyed military base and uses the pause to give Rose some water. Additionally, Andy notices many zombies with their heads stuck in the ground. He tries to get close to them to use the car, but at that moment, Vic intervenes and tries to escape. At the same time, the man hits Andy, and the head of a zombie that was about to attack him gets crushed. Vic, frightened, says his leg is stuck in the rubble around him and insists they must leave immediately because other monsters are approaching the mountains. The man also explains that there are no longer any operational military bases and says he was a member of a survivor shelter in the area, then decides to throw away the keys. Andy uses the winch to free the man, allowing both of them to escape without being attacked. Now they are safe. Vic takes his new friend to his shelter and introduces him to his wife, Lauren. Afterward, the man gives the woman a gift and asks her to take care of Rosie while he performs maintenance on the place before leaving to look for more supplies. Vic asks Andy to join him, saying Lauren will be able to care for his daughter while they are out. Andy hands Rose over to the woman and leaves to search for resources alongside his friend. Later, Vic leads his new companion to a place full of zombies trying to attack. A target is locked in a cage in the middle of the trees, and Vic takes advantage of the monster's distraction. The man starts demonstrating his combat skills to Andy, and the two use the creatures for training. After eliminating all the zombies, Vic walks to the cage and begins gathering items from the corpses. At that moment, Andy notices Tom is imprisoned in the cage and gets scared. The hunter explains that when the world returns to work again and becomes normal, he will be able to become very rich because he has large stores of tools, energy, and gas. When he notices that his partner does not want to believe his words, Vic confirms that his only concern must be Rose and that they must use the remains of civilization to their advantage in the shelter. Lauren takes care of Andy's daughter normally, but while patting the baby, she notices that Rose has a sticky yellow substance in her body and gets very scared. Before they return home, Vic prepares another trap around the area using the remains of zombies in a prison cage in Daco, who is an old man similar to Tommy. The man reprimands his prisoner because he broke into his wells. As punishment, he decides to play a radio very loudly to attract many creatures to the new target. Far from there, members of the indigenous tribe complete their search for Tom and Dakota, using their fire skills to get rid of all the zombies in the area and clean the desert. At night, the survivors sleep in their shelter next to Andy, but when he notices that he is about to collapse again, the man gets scared and takes off for Rose's safety. So, he decides to go outside. After saying goodbye to his daughter, he prepares to put the substance that will end his life and prevent the transformation. At that moment, Andy is prevented by Lore, who assures him that he still has enough time to find a new shelter and save Rose's life. The devastated man says that he has no hope of succeeding in his mission and asks the woman to protect his daughter with her husband. But Lorraine assures him that she is not what he thinks at all, and in fact, she is imprisoned with this man. who got rid of her real husband and who imprisoned her with dozens of employees from her factory, and who imprisoned them so that he could live. Andy understands that they are imprisoned with an official madman, and he tells her that he found a family lives by the lake and says that they might try to reach them. The problem is that Vic heard all this talk, and before he could reply, the man gets hit in the face, making him lose consciousness. After that, Andy wakes up next to Tommy and Bella. Unfortunately, he was locked up with the girl. The scared Andy tries to talk to the girl, and after he apologizes for yelling at her the day before, he asks for her help, and then they tell him that he will free the Sheikh who was locked up from Vic. The two of them notice that there are a lot of zombies approaching. When he notices the scratches on the cage, Andy makes a kind of hook and hears it. He throws it in the direction of the monsters. Thanks to this tightening, these creatures start eating the end of the rope, which he pulls every now and then. The cage door opens and the two of them are able to escape safely. After that, they immediately arrive at Vic's camp. After climbing one of the containers, they are able to quickly find Lauren. Andy rescues the woman and her daughter from the place. After that, Daku's cage keys run towards the transport truck. The problem is that Vic suddenly wakes up, and while escaping, he prepares to hit the man who runs scared at the last moment. Lauren runs to try to stop the madman, but he insists on trying to hit his target. When Andy notices that his friend sacrificed herself for her safety, Andy runs next to Tommy and Rosie. When Vic notices that he hit his friend, he is very shocked. When they reach the cage, he notices that the Sheikh escaped, and they decide to continue their escape so that they can protect themselves later. Tommy takes the man to her secret cave, but at that moment, Vic appears in his transport truck and passes by for them to appear immediately. The man assures them that if they do not see themselves immediately, he will finish them off one by one. But Andy is not afraid and remains silent while trying to calm Rose down. The man is convinced that no one is here, so he decides to leave, and this allows the survivors to spend the night in the hideout. While they are resting, Tommy notices that Andy woke up in the middle of the night and started drinking the blood that was present on the cave walls, but after a few seconds he was able to regain consciousness. The next day, Monday, they continued their journey next to a promontory, but in the middle of the road the girl says that she needs to make sure of something and runs. Andy, worried, decides to walk after Tom, who found her father's jacket hanging on a tree, and one of her relatives had put the man's body on it. She feels guilty because of everything that her father might have gone through while he was outside. The girl starts hitting her head on Andy's lap. He stops her and tries to calm her down. The man assures her that Tommy did everything she could to protect Willie, but he is no longer her father. He is the monster who might attack her at any time. However, the girl does not listen to her friend and makes sure to stay next to her father. Andy, who is sad, says that Rose would be happy if Tom completed the journey next to them, but the girl refuses the invitation and says that none of them cares. The survivor is devastated by what he hears. He confirms that he knows that the girl is lying and walks. After a few minutes, Andy begins to feel tired. After he notices that he has 9 hours until his transformation is complete, he gets scared and begins to collapse again. In her father's tree, Tommy begins to hear Rose's screams and is disgusted by the survivor to see what happens next. Andy is able to regain consciousness and is relieved when he notices that the girl was able to protect his daughter while he was falling. With that, Tommy confirms that she knows the way to the lake and asks her friend to go with her. After a few minutes, they find the boat that he had set up a few days ago, and they start running in the direction of the campers. When they arrive at the place, the survivors notice that the family is no longer there. After they walk a few meters, they find an abandoned trailer truck where a birthday party was being held. They take advantage of the fact that they are safe. Andy begins to take care of Rose at the time that Tommy is eating from the pieces of the cake that the owners of the place left behind a long time ago. After a few hours, the girl is resting inside the trailer. At that time, Andy started looking for the family and found them next to the camp. The man looked like he was digging a hole or a grave when he noticed Andy's presence. The man approached and told him that he would be able to take his trailer and the transport truck if he could make them work. Andy, who was confused, said that he did not need to escape from this place alone and asked the family to go with them on their trip and look for a safe shelter. But the man revealed to him that he and his family were injured and asked Andy to walk in his car and take his gun as well, which had 2 bullets in it. Andy was devastated by everything he heard and decided to walk, but in the middle of the road, he heard shots indicating that the whole family had turned into zombies. Far from here, Andy tried to calm himself down from everything he saw, but his fear went away when he noticed Rose was finally able to say her first word and called him Daddy. And after they gathered, Tom used her special paint on the baby and explained that this is a substance that prevents zombies from detecting her presence. After that, the two of them reach a railway bridge and cross it silently so that the herd of monsters that are eating the carcass of a large animal do not see them. After that, the survivors reach a tunnel And while crossing, Andy finds a lot of zombies in a state of winter hibernation. Tommy confirms that they can pass by them because they are completely hidden and they are close to the exit. The three of them find Vic, who is searching the place alone. They quickly run to hide from the madman, but Rose lies about paying attention, so the man starts looking for them. In order to be able to defeat the criminal, Andy asks Tom to get into the transport car with her daughter and runs to the group of sleeping zombies and screams for Vic to try to catch him. Thus, the man gets rid of each one of the creatures, but before he can harm Andy's enemy, he grabs him and hits him in the stomach. Then the two of them immediately throw each other against the walls of the place, and when he notices that Vic tries to retrieve the gun, Andy runs towards him, but the man comes out faster and hits Andy in the stomach, who freezes in place. Vic, angry from the scratches he has, runs to the transport truck, then hits Tom many times and throws him away. And desperate Andy walks to the truck, and when he notices that the girl is okay, he tries to save Rose. And when he reaches the transport truck, the man finds Vic holding his daughter. And unluckily, his opponent was unable to harm the baby, so he takes advantage of this situation and is able to retrieve Rose and walks from a place next to Tom. At the time, when the man ends up going crazy. During the escape, Andy notices that his friend feels weak because she was badly hurt from his jaw. But Pettis tells her to stay standing and teach him a few words of her mother tongue. The problem is that the enemy increases every little while, and when he notices that he is about to have a second breakdown, the survivor Tommy asks her to take care of Rose, and runs. At that time, the members of the tribe of the natives are walking in the desert forest and looking for zombies using bullets and original weapons to get rid of the monsters quickly. Large amounts of the sticky yellow substance begin to appear around Andy's face, but he watches his friend distracting his daughter. When he finds the remains of animals on the ground, an idea comes to him. They are both survivors. They walk among groups of zombies. Thanks to his infection, the man is not visible from the creatures, but after a few meters, he notices that he will not be able to bear the transformation. With the last of his strength, Andy prepares a stick with human baits and asks Tom to take care of his daughter because after that, he is immediately infected and digs a hole in front of him. After putting on the bag in which he is carrying Rose, he bends down and listens to the girl climb onto his back. In the middle of the fire in the forest, the members of the tribe continue fighting bravely against all the zombies that appear, and when they notice that they have finished with all the creatures around them, they start walking. At that moment, the group begins to hear screams from afar. When they look back, they find Andy turned into a zombie. Unluckily, Tom and Rosie are carried on his back. The affected girl carries the baby from her zombie father's back and runs to hug her mother while the rest of the tribe prepares to finish off the last remaining monster. Before her friend finishes him, Tommy sprays K-odor in Andy's direction. He finds the last memory of his wife before he loses his life once and for all. In the end, the tribe of natives walks and returns to their village, where they receive a large number of people who are very happy with their return. Here the movie ends, and we meet in a new summary. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get more new videos.